again, happy Friday to you all. I hope you have a safe and festive day for those of you who enjoy today's holiday and with children or otherwise. Um, this is our next edition of our collaborative meeting here in Orange County. And as you've been doing already, go ahead and continue to introduce yourself in English and Spanish or whatever language you prefer in the chat so that folks are reminded who you are and who you're with. And as Maria has already mentioned, she's sharing a copy of the agenda and other useful links in the chat. So keep an eye on the chat for that. And yeah, so today's meeting, we've got an hour. It's pretty straightforward, and it's going to really focus on deploying the next and final round of the Catalyst funding that we've been focused on for the last few months. And so the first thing we're going to do is start off by giving an update on where we're at with the first and second rounds of the Catalyst funding and the contracting that's been taking place with our friends at Charitable Ventures. And so, these updates will be provided by our colleague Natalie if she can hear us and if she's available to jump in. Otherwise, I
Yep.
will. Oh, okay, great. Well, let's just go ahead and turn it over to you, Natalie.
Okay. Thank you, Ish, and good morning, everyone. As usual, just the awardee update. So for round one, all the contracts have been fully executed at this point, and 3.4 million has been committed. So with work beginning in either May or June, we're still receiving reports. So quarterly reports have come in, but also the monthly reports. Can we get the next slide, please? All right. Finances. So about 27% of the contracts have elapsed at this point. So that 27% was calculated for 4 months for the 16 months, and then 5 months have elapsed for the 17th month contracts. So if you take the average of that, it's about 27 months. And if you see on the pie chart to the right here, 31% of the committed funds have been sent so far. A portion of it, again, is advance payment, and the rest has been spent down. Did want to give an update at this point is that the County of Orange has officially spent their entire awarded amount already. So good progress for them. So in short, it's healthy spend. That concludes round one. So if I can get the next slide here, it would be round two awardee updates. For the contracts of the 18 awardees for round two, 12 have been fully executed and 6 are just on the final step of the contracting process. These remaining 6 have a contract effective date of October 1st. As a reminder, for round two, contract effective dates are either September 1st or October 1st. And to date, if you can see the pie chart on the right here, 3.2 million of the 4.6 millions of the funds have been committed. Can I get the next slide, please? All right, last slide, finances. Again, with the contract effective dates beginning as of September 1st or October 1st, many have just begun work. The first financial reports that we received was just a couple of weeks ago. So we'll give you an update on how round two is spending at the next collaborative meeting. That's it for me. I'm happy to take any questions. And if you have any questions, you're able to contact me at the slide below. Sorry if you don't mind scrolling. Here's my contact information. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Natalie. Any questions for Natalie on this initial part of the agenda for round one? Comments, questions? Great. Jesse, Maria, anything you want to add on this first agenda item?
I would just only add that, so obviously Natalie and I talk very regularly, and that is, even the last 6 that need to be contracted, people are responsive. We are moving it forward. So I don't want to give a hard date for Natalie, but she's just really confident that these are going to get wrapped up pretty soon. And then, the projects can really get moving. So we're those last 6 we're really making progress on. It's not like those are just iced at the moment.
Great. Thank you, Jesse. Yeah.
Okay, well, excellent. So moving on now, we're going to move into our next agenda item. We're a little ahead of schedule, so that's great because it gives us some additional space for questions that you may have. But this is a discussion of round three awardees. And so Jesse's now going to walk us through this item and talk about the tentative selections that have been made for round three of the Catalyst funding. All 41 project applications, you have access to those in the grant web portal. And that's the link that Maria shared a few minutes ago when we kicked off the meeting this morning. So take a look at that for more details. It's the same portal that we used for round two, so you should be familiar with it. And that access to be able to go in there and view the project applications is something you should have had access to since last Friday. So again, just take a look at that link if you're interested in going into more detail on this particular agenda item today. This is only an informational item. So while, OCBC, OCBC definitely is responsible for selecting the proposals for the activation plan, the team felt that it was really important to have a high degree of transparency with all of you here in the collaborative and creating a space for some input for questions. It's just something that's been part of this process since we kicked it off a few years ago. So that's the purpose for this agenda item, is to keep you in the loop and up to speed on where the thinking is with these third round of awardees. We ask that you ask some questions and provide some feedback today as soon as Jesse's completed with this presentation and gives you an overview. And we'll also have you'll also have the opportunity to submit some additional comments directly to Maria via email. All that feedback that you may have and input, we ask that you submit it by 5 p.m. on Monday, so you'll have the rest of today, the weekend, and the workday on Monday to submit any comments, concerns that you may have about what you hear about today from Jesse and what you may be reviewing in the portal where the proposals are housed. And so we ask that you take a little bit of time with that today and over the weekend as your time permits. But with that, Jesse, let's turn it over to you and walk us through this overview of round three.
Yeah, and I just want to reiterate, this is part of this is also very much to get your feedback. I think, the people at OCBC kind of reviewing these, we all have different experiences and different demographically, and I think we try to balance all the different needs that we try to accomplish given the makeup of this collaborative. But we always welcome your feedback if there were any blind spots. So again, by 5 p.m. Monday, I know that's a fast turnaround, but one of the later agenda items will probably explain why. That being said, I think you've had it since Monday, Maria, correct me if I'm wrong, in order to kind of review some of these if you do have input. But ultimately, round three is the remaining funds, approximately $1 million of the $9 million the state granted to the region in order to fund pre-development projects. However, we were able to just confirm we could also advance the sector activation plans that all of you were aware of. The sector activation plans was not originally in the contract with the state. It was something they thrusted upon us. And so we thought it was wise as we think about where the state is headed when it comes to really specific sector growth, and kind of refer you back to the new state economic blueprint. Maria, if you have time, please kind of drop it in the chat, or at least drop the placemat in the chat that they have, that we also try to kind of row in that direction that the state is heading to some degree, while honoring a lot of the work and what this collaborative originally meant. So advancing activation plans, we confirmed with you the sectors we wanted to advance we are not only through this funding, but with the sector investment coordinators and OCBC staff time, childcare, tourism and outdoor recreation, semiconductor, medical technology, and healthcare. And so the crux of it is, whatever was being proposed had to have a tie-in to the activation plan to some degree. It wasn't like the first two rounds where it was whatever the proposer conceived. There had to be, this is addressing this tactic or this task in the activation plan. So that's also was an important criteria in the judging process. So high overview, as Ish said, 41 applications total. We have a little under 1 million, but 5 million were requested. Short way of saying it was highly oversubscribed. I just thought it was easier if I broke this down kind of by by sector. So these are the projects we funded in childcare. So this one's called Unlocking Childcare for Orange County, the org. And so you'll have this structure of I'll put the proposal name and I'll put the org attached to it, or at least the lead org. So you have the Low Income Investment Fund. And so what they really wanted to try to do was understand kind of local regulatory barriers at each city level. So as it says here, childcare, the childcare providers are a business, but sometimes cities treat them like every other business when they have very different economics and needs. They wanted to map existing and potential facilities for the sake of the cities to see if they could kind of unlock more childcare, but also again reduce the barriers just to make a more hospitable environment in order for someone who wants to start a childcare business, whether at home or not, can kind of do that. So that's really the crux or the thrust of what they want to try to accomplish, is to try to see what could be modified and then try to share that amongst all the cities for us to really get a regional kind of a regional proposal here. So what did OCBC like about the proposal? One, and I remember in conversations, I don't know if Luis is on this call, but there was conversations about kind of circumventing barriers. And the comment was, why don't we try to remove or eliminate? So I think that's what this project tries to do. Let's remove and eliminate barriers so someone who wants to start a childcare business can do so easily and as cost effectively as possible. Another thing from OCBC's perspective is that when you do policy change, and you'll see in the next project, there are things where you want to support people case by case and kind of hold their hand and try to build them up and develop them as a business. But there are some things where if you just make it easier for them to start their business, then you're unlocking dozens of potential business owners, instead of saying, well, you're a current business owner, let me help you become a successful business. Let's just lower the barrier so it's easier to be successful. And so we feel like that really unlocks things. You're really limited in scaling when you're doing things case by case. Here, I think can really kind of hopefully open the floodgates, so to speak, for more people to want to enter in the childcare space because it's now more economically feasible and less of a headache to do so. So that's one of the projects we funded. Now, on the other side of that, again, because we were looking at, we can only fund projects that were proposed. We do have some that I think also meet the needs of, I'm a specific childcare business owner. I'm facing some challenges. How can you help me kind of get out of them? And so we have someone who's Muckenthaler and Associates, who has a lot of experience, I think probably several decades of experience in the childcare space, and they're going to help businesses facing financial strain and operational challenges and how to kind of get them on the right track. So help them with budgeting, cash flow, help them with subsidized administration, and I think they'll also produce a final report from their learnings for us to think about what we could do after this grant in order to kind of try to scale that work. So a lot of these small businesses, again, can get the access, the capital, and the support that they need. So what did we like about the proposal? That there was direct benefit to small childcare providers. Again, thinking about the economic development lens of things, it's let's help businesses be successful. That's what this does. And if you think about the childcare providers, these are small businesses. These are people who are just trying their best to be financially independent. It's not like we're helping an incredibly robust and successful business be even more robust. Sí, es Apolonio. Just probably some sound background. As we mentioned, that there's significant experience from this consultant if you look at her proposal. And one thing that we liked is the entire budget's going to staff time. Again, operating expenses, indirect costs are just part of doing business, so they're very much eligible. But when someone says, all this is going for me to work X amount of hours, we really think that that's really money well spent instead of, covering rent, covering some healthcare expenses, whatever they may be. So I think the fact that we're really getting the most productivity out of the budget is something that we really liked in this proposal. The second one is also with Muckenthaler and Associates, but this one is now focused on the community partners who could have the childcare space either be the childcare provider themselves or at least open up the space. So really thinking about we can activate underutilized spaces in order to be a space for childcare because we understand how few slots there are in Orange County. So what this project will map underutilized facilities and provide technical assistance to a school, to a faith-based organization to be able to provide childcare or early childhood education on their facility, thus opening slots. Instead of creating more competition for the same amount of slots, let's open up more slots so more people can find the childcare that they need. So what did we like about this? That it was oriented towards the community partner. Again, if we think about the community development that was inherently in this work, there's that. Just like with the last one, because it's the same person. Muckenthaler and Associates has a lot of experience, and just like the last one, entire budget is going to staff time, not any other costs or expenses. So I'm happy to stop there. I'm going to go through each project, but on the childcare side, I'll stop after every industry. Any questions? And I can't see much. If you can help facilitate it, I'd appreciate it.
Absolutely. Questions, preguntas para Jesse related to this first section on childcare? We have a question from Ana. Buenos días. Go ahead, Ana.
Hi, buenos días. Good morning. Thank you for sharing. I went to look for Muckenthaler and Associates online, and I was just wondering if you have their website, because the ones that I'm finding say the site may be insecure, or how do we find more information about them?
Yeah, I think in some of the summaries, I think we can ask her, but in the project summaries, but also in their full proposals, they describe their organizational qualifications. So the link that Maria has, but if it's you, Anna, specifically only looking for that, Maria and I can just pull the organization qualifications and send that to you, email you directly what those are.
Thank you.
So Maria, if you can make a note, we can work on that. It'll be a simple pull from their application.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up now. Also, can you make me co-host, Jesse, so I can help you
absolutely.
with? Thank you.
No
Yeah, I'll
problem.
help you with muting. I think Apolonio might be accidentally unmuted.
Other questions, preguntas for Jesse on the childcare? Preguntas para este sector de
Ishmael?
cuidado infantil. Linda, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I can't find the raise my hand thing. Jesse, Muckenthaler and Associates, are they located in Orange County? Just curious.
Dr. Wall, can
A ver,
you
¿sí me
confirm
escuchas?
that? Or Krista,
Yes.
you already worked
Yes,
with them.
Muckenthaler.
Un segundo, Apolonio.
Yes,
Sorry. Go ahead.
yes, they are located in Orange County.
Thanks.
Ok, Apolonio, ahora
Gloria.
sí, si tiene una pregunta.
Gloria, do you have a question? I think I promoted you to panelist.
Other questions, comments?
Or perhaps a good question would be, is there any way that we can connect some of the graduates from the Santa Ana College program on childcare to perhaps learn as well?
Yeah, I think all of that. I mean them, but anyone kind of in this space. And I know through Krista, there's connections to like some of the other projects that we funded in a way of saying like
Sí, te
the more
escucho.
we can connect what's happening to what's already going on, like we're happy to do that because you're right, that's a good pipeline to people who might want to start their own business. So always happy to see what assets are out there and then connect them to the work that's already happening. Or maybe Cielo wants to talk to them if they aren't already, or again, Christina, whatever work you're already doing with Santa Ana College and their childcare program. Like we would happy to connect whatever is currently existing with the stuff we're funding and the people who are already in the space.
Beautiful. And also perhaps a good connection would be with the Childcare Providers Union. So that if there's, struggling businesses that are going through it as part of the support system, of creating good union jobs, perhaps we can make that connection as well.
Yeah. Christina, I don't know, do you have anything, not to put you on the spot here, about, and is there any current work already being done there? If not, I can connect all three of us to Gloria after this call. So let me make a note of that.
Yeah, we do actually have somebody from the union come share at the graduation, at the incubator. So one of the sessions we have community partners and the union comes and talks about the union and how they can join. So thank you for that. And we have it there and maybe we can look at expanding. And then for Santa Ana College, they have multiple programs and we're currently working with their apprentice program. But if you have another program at Santa Ana College that you want us to connect with, please reach out to Jesse and he can connect me and I can start those conversations.
Beautiful. Thank you. I just want to make sure to highlight it so that when we are talking to our unions, we also highlight the partnership. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then, yeah, Gloria, same thing. If you want to connect them to us because they like what they're seeing here, please do that. Always open. Those partnerships.
Ahora sí, Apolonio, sí me escucha. Tenía una pregunta sobre estas inversiones de cuidado infantil. Una pregunta, Polonio. Quería verificar si quería comentar algo o preguntar algo.
I think he was trying to talk to Adriana.
Creo que ya lo transcribió Adriana.
Ah, ok, muy bien.
Gracias, gracias.
Ok, qué
Gracias,
bueno.
Apolonio.
Great. And we are seeing some reassurance on the Muckenthaler team in the chat. Josefa seems to have some experience with them, as does Christina. So thank you for those additional comments. Not seeing any additional questions or comments or hands raised. Well, actually, Cesar just came on. Cesar, go ahead.
No, thank you. Now, just wanted to also, maybe if we can think about expanding these to other non-traditional uses. We are seeing a lot of affordable housing incorporate spaces for commercial, and in many cases, it's not very viable commercial spaces for traditional retail. So it might be a good opportunity for the childcare folks to start thinking about that area. And we can work with them to connect some of these partners.
Yeah, when I reach out to Cinda, I can notify her of when we think about like the slides you're on, right? If you think about
Right.
underused facilities, maybe these affordable housing complexes do have that or
Yeah.
space to do that, right? And those are
Yeah.
families who could absolutely use it. Good observation. Thank you, Sasai.
And happy to help with that connection.
Okay. Anyone else on this?
Yeah.
Questions, comments before we move on to the next section? All right, I think we're good. Jesse, go ahead and proceed.
All right. And the next one is healthcare. So we have from the Cambodian family, their proposal to kind of create a model around in-home supportive services. So workforce development for the Latinx and the Cambodian residents in Santa Ana. We all know they also live in the disinvested communities in Santa Ana. And so they want to do workforce training for 50 residents. And then they also want to try to make it a scalable model with partnerships, as you see here, with Mecca, APITF, and CFCOC. So there we go. And so what did we like about this? I think from a healthcare perspective, there's the job equity portion, right? They're working with members of the community who could use this as a way for greater economic mobility. But also, if you're talking about IHSS and you're working in the homes of disinvested communities, now you're creating more healthcare equity. So it's equity not only in the job side, but also in receiving healthcare. So that's kind of a 2-for-1. So that's what we really liked about this. Given the cost of the program, it was a good training to cost ratio. I believe the program, Batana, you're on here, I think is 75,000. So if you think about we're getting kind of 50,000 people trained, that's a good kind of, if you think about, workforce boards and some other things, they have a higher cap to spend per person. So this is a good dollar amount spend. And I think the sharing learnings, the outcomes, the collaboration part of it. So this isn't just a one and done, but hopefully lives beyond, September 2026. And so that's another thing that we thought was very compelling. Just a note. This is the only healthcare project that we thought was compelling, particularly at the price point. And so I kind of want to address this now as we go through the rest of the slides about the other industries. If you take the totality of everything we funded, if we include this, everything we'll fund in the 3 rounds. Granted, in round 1 and 2, there are projects like housing, there are projects that boost the construction industry for EV technicians. But if you take the totality of what we spend per industry, here's what we have. If we include round 3, in childcare, we will spend a total of $670,000 in that industry. For healthcare, this is why only one project got funded. We're still spending $1 million of the $9 million to advance the healthcare industry. And then if we go to tourism, which I'm about to talk to because we only funded one project and then I'll take questions, which is this one around helping small businesses with technical or with accessing capital, workforce development needs, marketing, so they have a more stable business. We are, with our funding, supporting tourism with $1.7 million. So some of these other projects, some of them might have been pretty good, but if we think about kind of the dollar amounts they were asking for, we just didn't think it was worth the spend. And so that's why you see in healthcare and hospitality and tourism, only one project being funded while you'll see multiple in others. So that's kind of the justification as to why only one in some of these industries. But let me just finish up this point and I'll take your questions. Again, what we liked about this project on the hospitality and tourism side is the direct business support. Thinking about economic development, it's about helping businesses be successful so they can hire people, and cost effective. This was under $50,000 of an ask to support like a dozen or 2 dozen businesses. So again, we thought that was very cost effective as well. So with that, I'll take any questions, but I want to provide that explanation as to why these 2 industries only received one is because those 2 industries are receiving a significant portion of the funding already with some of the other rounds. Yes,
All right,
Gloria.
we have we have a question from Gloria, so go ahead.
Again, the same question, how we connected with the union that represents in-home support services workers. And one of the biggest reasons is a lot of the licensing and like a first aid certification, we do it. And we provide it, at no cost because we are proud to say that we are helping the community, right, as we do this. But also, thank you so much for selecting projects like this, because the senior tsunami, and believe me, as you turn 57, like I just did, and become
Sí, se
an
escucha
official,
en español.
a senior, you know that the in-home support services are so important and are key to prevent early hospitalization. And for us, keeping seniors and keeping those who are going to be in need is a priority. So thank you so much for doing this. And again, my question was just, have we connected with the union that represents them?
Yeah, Latana, you're on the call. Any more background?
Yes, thank you so much, JC. Appreciate it. So I'm stating, I'm just speaking as an applicant, not as a member of the committee. Okay. Thank you, Gloria, for that. That's a very important. We have seen a lot of equity in our ethnic minority community around accessing the training, the support to become in-home support services. We have seen a lot of community members who are very interested in providing care. When we talk about IHSS, a lot of the caregivers who are listed on the website are not from the community that the community members they serve. So it is important for us to build that kind of workforce. And I'm so happy to be able to connect with you to see how we can work with the union to support our community members as well. So I definitely can connect offline. I will leave my email in the chat, Gloria. If you can leave your email, that would be great as well. We can connect later to see how we can support each other in terms of moving these underserved community with this model. Thank you.
No, Latana, thank you. I think that's exactly why we have these calls, right? We can make things more robust. Work this kind of cross-sector work here. That if you weren't on this call, you wouldn't have known that these projects were going to happen or are happening. So Adriana, can you have Apollonio just explain to which project is he referring to, or Ish, if you want to work with Apollonio directly on, and then I'm happy to try to answer the back.
Sure. The question in the chat from Apollonio. Apollonio tiene una pregunta sobre ¿en qué sectores se refiere usted para lo de la prioridad de los fondos para grupos que están empezando su negocio? ¿A qué se refiere a la presentación de que está dando ahorita Jesse del turismo o lo del cuidado infantil? Oh, okay, childcare, cuidado infantil.
On the childcare side, I think, with previous projects, and Josefa, you're on this. I mean, I think that's where you're talking about a lot of people who are just thinking about the idea of doing so. I also wouldn't say, I don't think with Cinda, and maybe I overspoke, I don't remember all the proposals to the exact detail, is whether she would help people who have the idea. I do think that it's mostly focused on people who have started one and may be struggling. So in order to kind of keep them afloat, we want her to try to support. If Apollonio will give me time, or Maria, I can read that with more detail one more time to confirm that it's only one or the other. But I think that the part of where I want to start a business, but I don't know how to do it, I think has been satisfied with some other proposals that we funded.
Yeah, I think also what would help me, and I'll translate this over in Spanish right now, is for Apollonio to give me names of projects that he believes would, because he's talking about businesses that are just barely starting. So if he has names of projects that would help. Apollonio, usted había mencionado por qué no ayudar proyectos que apenas están empezando. So si me podría dar los nombres de los proyectos en los que usted está pensando, así yo puedo también compartir esos con Jesse.
Got it. So yeah,
Okay.
we want to work with La Polonia offline, and happy to answer that question with more detail.
Very good. Any other questions or comments related to tourism? And Cesar, go ahead.
I was just following up, I think, on Apolonio's comment. I think it's also going to be important to make sure that there's accessibility in terms of language and culture for some of these folks that are going to be working on removing barriers and connecting organizations to some of these resources. So just want to make sure we highlight that with the applicants.
Yes, I'm taking that note. Thank you, Cesar.
Great. Other questions or comments before we move on? Okay, not seeing any. So Jesse, go ahead and proceed to medical technology.
Sure. On the medical technology side, there was a proposal again, and all of these kind of proposals align with in every sector in the activation plans, right? So that's another kind of factor into the selection. Like, is it in our activation plan that we need to do something like this? This is one that was done, is a supply chain analysis of medical technology. And so even here, you kind of see in the opening about how many kind of parts within the supply chain are made elsewhere. So if we think about reshoring or nearshoring, what the economic output could be. So with this, we could probably understand which suppliers or which components might be able to be made in Orange County, in which case they say, their preliminary analysis is you might be able to bring $150 to $300 million in annual activity, which could create 1,000 to 2,000 jobs. And given that it's medtech, you get very high wage jobs. And so we thought that this was in the activation plan. It was really important for us to get that analysis in order for us to think, and people who are in the medtech space, what could be done in order to try to bring some of those companies and bring some of those jobs into Orange County. And so I think the big reason is I think there's incredible high impact potential. If you think about, again, this number of 150 to 300 million a year and the number of jobs, if we can kind of get that analysis done, the right stakeholders can kind of move something forward, there's tremendous potential for the region. So that's why we funded this one in the MedTech side. There was, through Biocom Institute, is a statewide kind of life science, bioscience association. And so they can do a needs assessment from employers. So I think when we talk about, there's a lot of workforce training on one end, but there also needs to be confirmation from the employer what those needs are and what those skills are. So they're actually employable. And so what they'll do is kind of do that analysis. And then with that, we can then share all this information with all our workforce and all our education providers to try to kind of realign the talent pipeline, right? The people that they're educating and training in order to kind of meet the demands of employers so they are more hireable here in Orange County. And the hope is like if we can have our Orange County institutions do a better job of training Orange County residents, they can kind of get the job instead of having to find someone outside of market. And so this will be kind of very useful, kind of informing OCBC and the education partners on what changes we have to make in order to meet the needs of medical technology companies. So again, we think that because this report could mobilize a lot of people, high impact potential, I think this is coming under $45,000 for this assessment. It's an industry-centered perspective, and I welcome people who are in education, but there's been a shift in making sure that there's kind of industry is centered when we think about workforce and talent development, and kind of, I mentioned, cost-effective. Like with this tool, and we can kind of organize so many players for it to be under $50,000 that we thought was money well spent. Biocom also had, so if we think about, we've handled some macro things, let's handle more micro things. They already have a standing and successful career fellowship program. Fellowship, mentorship, internships, all those were in the activation plan. So they will bring the model that they've applied to other counties and try to apply it to kind of 12 participants for a 6-month career exploration, but mentorship experience. And so why do we like this one? Successful track record. So they've done it before. We have high confidence they're going to be successful again, so it's not money wasted. We think there's a high chance of success given that Biocom Institute has so many relationships with employers in order to make sure that you can actually, I think there's a lot of people who might want a mentor. The hard part is finding the mentor. And so that's where I think Biocom Institute has the relationships to bring the mentor from those companies in order to help, whether they're students, young adults, in order to kind of see like, why should I join the med tech industry? And cost effective, again, I think they were at $50,000 in order to kind of do this work. Another one that is also kind of mentorship and apprenticeship that we thought, and it could be similar in a lot of ways, but we thought, and I'm kind of jumping ahead about the proposal, is Biocom Institute. It's wonderful because they have so many relationships with employers, but they are a non-Orange County based kind of organization. I think they're kind of actually located in San Diego. But we have Big Brothers Big Sisters, who has a track record of success in other industries, maybe even medtech to some degree, but now absolutely they're going to lean into medtech. And Big Brother Big Sisters knows the community. They've been here for a long time, working with the Orange County region, but definitely within disinvested communities. So they're doing something similar with the pilot, but they're also doing a greater reach in career exploration. So we have this very high touch, 15 to 20 students getting the mentorship, but then they want to do career awareness with 200 students. So they're doing a little bit of both with scaling, but it's not as deep of a touch. So we thought that was money well spent. They came in a little bit more than what Biocom was saying, but they're going to do the mentorship. But with that career exploration, we're getting kind of maximum touch. So that's why we thought that was a good one, as well as being an Orange County institution. So and those are the projects in the medtech space. Are there any questions?
Jesse?
Yes.
Again, not so much questions, but the Biocom Institute, I mean, they're just excellent at what they do. But one of the things that you said when you introed that was that they have a statewide. Is this needs assessment going to be Orange County focused?
Orange County only. Orange County only.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
To that, then I'm going to say we also have a comprehensive survey instrument going out to our primary partners in Orange County. So theirs will be a really important sort of collateral piece to that puzzle. So that's important as well. The Orange County Big Brothers and Big Sisters with the Edwards Life Science mentorships. All right, now that is absolutely scalable based on the strength of our other life science companies. So how, as the sector coordinator, how do we propose to leverage that?
I think it's a great, I'd like to ask you that same question, right? That's why I'm looking for you're supposed to be advising OCBC on some of these things. I would say I think
no, I will, Jesse. I'm happy to come up with solutions, but the fact that you pick this,
yes,
tells me that you've got some thoughts in that regard. And there's other nonprofits that are in this same lane, and there are other companies that could mentor as well. So that's why I'm asking. Because as a sector coordinator, we cannot offer the other nonprofits or the other companies the same, we can't grant them. See what I'm saying?
Correct. But yes, I think to your point is we are trying to generate models of success that then could be taken. And again, that's where we do have to start thinking soon about where are the dollars for some more implementation or sustainability. That's work that we're both going to have to do, and Larry, your colleague as well, to think about. But right, I think some of these is if they're not already happening already, we're seeding the dollars for it to happen, and there could be a lot of lessons learned that then make it a lot easier for others to latch on, whether it is more companies working with Big Brothers Big Sisters, or I know Edwards is very much in the community already. Edwards working with more nonprofits in order to expand that, or both. Right? Maybe, if Edwards is kind of taking the plunge here, Big Brother Big Sisters taking the plunge here, it just makes it less risky for other people to join the fray.
Okay. I'm just saying there's already organizations that are doing this.
Then I think
that's my concern. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's a function of Big Brothers Big Sister applied, right? We only fund who.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, fair enough.
If that's the case, sorry, I misunderstood the question.
Yeah, that's all right.
Any other questions?
Other questions or comments for Jesse?
Hi, Casey. Is there any letter of partnership or confirm with Edward Life Science that they're providing the 10 mentors?
I have to look back at the partnership agreement. So Ventana, I can confirm that. So are you saying is it confirmed that Edwards is versus whether it's aspirational?
Yeah, yes. Because we work with Edward Life Science. We have a lot of Cambodian community members work there too. And then sometimes it's hard to get mentors from there because the very
Yeah.
busy. I don't know how a big brother and big sister make that happen. That is wonderful, but I'm not quite sure it is just on a proposal or one of the letter of supports did come from Edward to confirm that they do have the 10 mentors.
Yeah, let me go and I can get that as a follow-up. Let me read that proposal again to confirm that that's the case.
Yeah, because we work a lot with their employee in language around worker right
Okay.
and things like that. So I'm not
I
going.
have
Yeah.
I have that application up, Jesse. So they do have an MOU with Edwards Life Sciences. I'll look through it now as we're in this meeting for Vatana's question, but they do have the MOU. And then they have another one with the Orange County Department of Ed as well, and it's attached to the co-applicant partner section.
Got it. Thank you, Maria.
Of course,
Yeah,
yeah.
thanks
you're
for,
welcome.
And then,
thanks for jumping
Jesse,
in.
really quick in the chat, just a quick comment from Gloria about also using this as an opportunity to establish partnerships that could perhaps result in funding.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that input.
Any other comments or questions before we move on? Not seeing any hands up or questions in the chat, so yeah, let's continue, Jesse.
All right, the last one is semiconductor. And so this is through SEMI. So SEMI is, SEMI is the largest, maybe even the only kind of semiconductor industry association in the state of California. And so they do a lot of workforce development. And so they're looking to kind of convene employers, very similar to kind of talked about on the medtech side, or what are the needs of employers in the semiconductor employers in Orange County in order for us to meet those workforce needs. Again, trying our best. If our education system can train Orange County residents to have those jobs, the better, so we don't have to import talent. But they'll also provide kind of a regional apprenticeship and internship model or framework, so allows us to kind of move faster up the learning curve in order to be able to kind of apply some of those into that industry. So what did we like? Standing relationship with the semiconductor industry. It would take time for anyone to build those relationships if you didn't already have them. It probably would take so long that the grant would be done by the time you established a relationship, let alone did some of the work of finding out what their needs are and to maybe even get an apprenticeship or internship framework moving. And I mean, to our knowledge, nothing like this in the semiconductor space is happening in Orange County. Linda, I know you're on here. I know Octane has some relationships with the semiconductor industry, but I would think Semi is just is in a better position to have those relationships, granted that they already kind of service the entire industry. So we thought that this was kind of the fastest way to get moving in the semiconductor space, given that many of us don't have strong relationships there.
Yes, and we welcome Semi. I mean, I've had a conversation or two with them, and yes, they do have more concrete relationships. But we also, in that same line, though, we do have a comprehensive, systemic sort of organizational and workforce development survey instrument that's going out as well. So it'll be a complement to this. It'll be good.
Yeah, wonderful. Then we have a project through Cal State Fullerton, engage high school and undergrad students in paid, mentored, hands-on learning. And so that's why they talk about the continuum. You're having high schoolers, but you're also having someone who might be a little bit higher up on the spectrum through micro credentials by recognized employers. And this is in partnership with CEO Leadership Alliance. So CSUF is a member of the collaborative. So good to see members of the collaborative collaborating together and providing a real world experience for the workforce. So what did we like? There was employer engagement. Some were referenced in the proposal and CLA has some of those, but we like that there's kind of this cross-sector collaboration as well. It's not just Cal State Fullerton doing it, saying that we have the relationships or we'll go find them as an educational institution, but partnering with other educational institutions. I believe actually they're partnering with some high schools because it says high school students, and again, the CEO Leadership Alliance. So we thought this was a strong project as well to get more hands-on and really advance people on the workforce pipeline. Big Brothers Big Sisters had another proposal, again, very similar to the medtech, but applying to semiconductor. And so they have the career exploration and professional development through the Society for Human Resource Management, but they're also going to do the intensive mentoring around 50 to 20 Cypress College students with an employer. So they said Ingram Micro. I will say the one thing that we have to be clear on with them is that it better be in the kind of the semiconductor vertical, as they say in business with Ingram Micro. Ingram Micro does a lot of things, some of which could be in the semiconductor space. So it's not, what we are not going to allow them to do is just say, oh, well, Ingram Micro does like 5% semiconductor, so that qualifies. Like if they're going to say this is a semiconductor pathway, those mentors have to be in that industry to some capacity. So that's something that we're going to have to hold them to, just as an FYI all to you. But what did we like about it? The direct impact of mentoring, but the broader impact of the workshops, just like the last one, you have depth, but then you also have breadth on the other side. Employer engagement, they already have, I believe, again, Maria, if you can also look this up, I think Ventana asked the same question. Is there an MOU with Ingram Micro? I believe Big Brothers Big Sisters already has a standing partnership with them on other things. And we like the cross-sector collaboration again. You have kind of an association through SHRM. You have the community colleges, OC Department of Education, so now the K through 12 system is involved, and Ingram Micro and employer. So they're touching multiple kind of sectors in the development of this. It's not just one org doing it alone. And then there are some partially funded ones, but any questions on that?
Cesar, go ahead. Can you hear us, Cesar? Okay, I think he may be having trouble with his audio. Any other questions, or anybody want to come off mute and add any comments or questions related to the semiconductor? Okay, no questions there. You want to walk us through the partially funded?
Yeah, and there's so two projects here. One is from the city of Irvine, so OC MedTech Navigator. And so what they want to do is, they're going to kind of have interdepartment kind of conversations going on in order to see how they can, again, lower permitting times, lower regulatory barriers for medtech companies to start up. Right, so that again, kind of similar to the childcare one. If you can just kind of make it easier for a business to want to be here or to start here, that's great. And so again, you may not need to have to handhold someone and try to support them with technical assistance through the maze that is kind of permitting and this department and that department, but just make it easier so they might pick Orange County, or that they're willing to grow in Orange County instead of growing somewhere else. So we think, again, kind of if you think about the policy stuff and the removal of barriers, there's a lot of kind of big impact. So again, huge impact potential, why we like the proposal. Same thing as the other one, elimination of barriers. We think that opens up a lot. And one is that we're going to take this as a learning. So circulated for the region-wide impact. I think that's something that OCBC is really willing to take on even after this grant, is as City of Irvine does this and does this work, maybe it'll make it easier for other cities to adopt it. So Anaheim and Santa Ana and Fullerton with some of their light industrial can kind of make it easier for medtech companies to also be located there. There's a lot of medtech companies throughout Orange County. Irvine definitely has the plurality of them. But the more I think we can kind of get more equity into where those medtech companies are located, the more there's greater access to good paying jobs throughout our region. So that's kind of what we funded there. There were just some components that we thought, like they wanted to use a consultant to kind of help with some of this work. They needed money to produce a final report. I think there were some costs there we didn't think were necessary. But we thought it was still an important project for them to work on the core of it, which is the city of Irvine trying to get their stuff together in order to make it easier for businesses in the medtech space to be able to start or expand in Orange County. And the other one is blended impact. And so I think that we will, just out of transparency, work towards probably more support in the semiconductor space, because I think we do have, Octane essentially being top of the line there, people who are very competent in the med tech space in order to do this. So I think more support in semiconductor would be helpful. But same thing, kind of creating that leadership group, trying to get new paying jobs here. Blended Impact does, if you look at kind of some of the project proposal, has some experience in trying to kind of get more dollars into a region based on a certain sector. So kind of what are those other funding sources, I think kind of to Gloria's point, that can kind of sustain these things. Blended Impact has a lot of experience working with municipalities in particular on getting $1 million, let's say, to advance a specific sector and the business community in that sector. So we thought that I think just their overall proposals came in high, but I do think there is a skill set there that with a narrower scope of work, I think could be helpful in supplementing what some of these other proposals were doing. Another thing that we saw is what Blended Impact proposed on if you took other proposals, they kind of got boxed in. So like, oh, blended impact can do some of this, but we're addressing this through Big Brothers Big Sisters, or we're addressing this through SEMI. And so then their scope of work was kind of naturally, I think, narrowed to what were the things the other people weren't proposing. And so again, as I kind of mentioned, strong experience in unlocking public and private capital for community and regional initiatives. So hopefully with some of the funding going towards her, if or this organization, it's a woman-owned, minority women-owned business, but if they can get us $1 million for a contract that might be $50,000, well, we've just gotten more dollars into the region than we spent on this contract. So that's kind of the hope and aspiration there. So
Jesse, when I looked at this, the only thing I was a little confused about was it more BRE? Is it more about business retention? And shoring that up and or removing barriers, or is it more about
for the city of Irvine, right?
No. I understand that one. It's the
Okay.
blended impact one, because it said projected to increase firm retention and attraction yielding 250. When I read it, I wasn't sure whether it was intended to be primarily a BRE plan or or an attraction and retention, because there's two different sets of strategies.
Yeah, no, I don't think that her focus would be attraction. I think it would be
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so it'd be on the retention side. And again, I think more of it is, I think this last bullet point is how of trying to help us identify, what could be industry specific funding in order to advance the sector even further.
Good. Okay.
That's really the hope of moving forward with kind of her proposal, is doing that on behalf of the region.
Jesse, we had a question earlier. I think Cesar was having some technical issues, but he's back with us now, related to the previous semiconductor comments that you offered. Cesar, do you want to ask your question now that you're here?
Yes, thank you. This was in regards to, I think, to the Ingram Micro Semiconductor partnership with the colleges. And I saw on there that the partnership would be with Cypress. Is there a specific reason? Do they have a program already, partnership with them there? Or is there an opportunity to expand to like Santana College or others? Or do we need a particular program that they need to plug into?
And that's the Big Brothers Big Sisters one?
Yes.
Yeah, they did not specify in the proposal, at least as I remember it, why they picked Cypress College. They just thought the community college population was important. I'm happy to go back to them and ask and get you an answer, but they didn't specify why Cypress.
Yeah, thank you. And I think it'd be important just to ensure, I think a lot of the community college probably have similar demographics, but I'd like to also just explore Santana College and others that may have a pool of workforce individuals that may be appropriate for that.
Yeah, and just general expansion. Okay. No, noted. No problem.
Other questions, comments? Otherwise, we're gonna move on.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
Thank you, Esma. So Jesse, I think the good thing about City Irvine, I really love it, the business navigator thing. I'm glad that we picked that one. Just last week we helped the Cameron Family Hub, a small business owner, try to navigate a business license application and one of the cities, and then they hire a third party company to help facilitate those business license, and they're just moving us around. And we have to help them go to a planning department, and they said, you need something from the police department, and police department said, no, you don't need it. It's like, it's so much going on for that one business owner to go through so much. And if we ever have this kind of like a business navigator who help, just have one-stop service, right? Get you from point A to Z and understand the process and help us that will be really grateful. And then we have seen a lot of members right now coming to us asking for them to start with a small business, especially around new business license application. And that is the most needed. And we have not had like that kind of CD that come forward and have that kind of navigator program. And I'm so happy to see that we choose, we were to work with the CD Irvine, like you said, create a model maybe for other CDs. Thank you.
Well, I just think this kind of, just to say, like, I think this speaks broadly to what like OCBC kind of just generally cares about, even separate of this grant. is, the more things can get, the best practices can be applied to all the cities, then definitely the most impact, right? Like we're Orange County Business Council. We want every municipality to kind of, they have services they have to deliver, but the more you can kind of make it easier for a business owner to start their business and try to be empowered economically, the better. And so we're just strong advocates of that in our mission generally, let alone what Jobs First is all about. So thank you for that kind of that story that you're working with.
All right. Other questions or comments? We're coming up on time. Great. Well, thank you, Jesse, for that very thorough and transparent overview of where the current selections are for round 3. I think they're excellent assets for the regional community. Again, if you have any questions or comments that you want to direct to Maria and Jesse, please do so via email. You have until 5 p.m. on Monday to send over that input and communication over to the team at OCBC. I want to quickly turn over to Jesse again, because there is a letter that was submitted from the Employee Development Department, EDD, at the state, and Jesse wants to provide some context about that. So let's jump into that, Jesse.
Yeah, so the letter's in your packet. I think we definitely owe this to you to share. That, this is pretty much saying, we need you to kind of, they use the term encumber the $9 million for catalyst projects by November 10th. If not, let's see. And I think the biggest thing here is the state may seek the return of the remaining funds, right? So it's not saying that the state will immediately call them back. I think so. What we did in response to this was we made them very clear where things stand. Natalie is confident. she can never guarantee things because it's also on the applicant, but she is confident at least round 2 will get done. And Natalie, if you're still on the call, I believe we've confirmed, or at least communicated to the state, we've selected these. Here's our timeline, right? We want our collaborative to provide any more comments by Monday, but for the most part, these awardees will be notified by Tuesday or Wednesday, and we will immediately start the contracting process. We'll probably also do something like an MOU in order to confirm that they're awarded, because that's probably a little bit faster than a contract. And so we've been in communication here. So just 2 things. One is, I think this is mostly a scare tactic, but you do have to take it seriously. I will say that I know of at least one region, there could be more, where they haven't spent $1 of their $9 million to this point. So I think this is sometimes a letter to get certain regions going who are in jeopardy of not spending the money. I don't think that's us, but you do have to take it seriously. And so we have a plan in place. And so hence why we need a deadline of Monday and not maybe a little bit longer, is because we also take this seriously, that we do have to get this money out the door, or we lose the risk of the state taking it back and it not being spent in Orange County. So out of transparency, I wanted to share this, but we do have a plan in place. We've been communicating regularly with EDD about this, but the point is, I think we are moving with in goodwill and in good faith to where I'm very skeptical that they're gonna, kind of execute taking some part of that remaining $1 million away, because I think we have a plan in place to show them that we are going to spend it all by September 2026. So with that, are there any questions?
Well, sure. What region? We'll go get the money, Jesse. We'll
Yeah,
go
right.
get the
No,
money.
sorry. I am not. I don't want to dish on my
I'm
colleagues,
kidding.
and I know, and how hard it is. No, that's a
But
great
how
point.
ridiculous is that?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of, just so you know, there's like, and actually I know some people on the call, but like some of these other letters from EDD, I think if you read them, don't generally apply to us. It's because there's been one or so many other regions, like the dates for the regional plans. Those are because like at some point, like there was just nothing going on, and the state said, do it, or we're going to take your money away, or you're not going to be eligible anymore. So I think this is just one of those, hey, like it's almost like as if the regional convener is asking the state to write this letter to them so they can show their collaborative or whomever the decision maker is to be like, we got to make decisions, people. We're going to lose the money, because they're just kind of in a holding pattern since then. So yeah, that's why I err towards more scare tactic, but I also don't want to be wrong and us lose the last $1 million here. So again, out of transparency, wanted to show all of you that's what we're working towards.
Not everyone can be the Orange County Collaborative, y'all.
Yes.
I think we are the model.
Very great. Thank you, Maria, for stating it. I
all.
think too, we have a great group of people, and thank you your support, and JC for managing this to be on the timeline. And JC to meet the November 10, does it mean that we have to disburse the money by November 10, or can just be an MOU, signed MOU with the round 3, so that we have proof of documentation saying that we are actually committed.
Exactly. That's why it's encumbered, not expense, right? So I think the MOU we believe is satisfactory. Of course, all the projects need until September 2026 to actually spend down. So it's just saying we've committed the dollars to this organization. We're in the clear. That's what we're trying to get to.
Great. Well,
So I know we're right at the hour.
Kudos to you all as a collaborative, and certainly, big round of applause to the OCBC team for keeping you so organized and tidy over the last few years around this. You certainly are ahead of the curve on many fronts. So congrats on that achievement. We are scheduled for January 23rd, 2026 is a Friday. That is our next collaborative meeting. If you don't have it on the calendar for some reason, please reach out to Maria and she'll work with you to make sure that's reflected on your schedule. But otherwise, we're going to end today's call and just take a second to thank you all for hanging out with us for an hour to get all this really good updated information from Jesse and Maria. Again, if you have any questions on what was presented today, please reach out to Maria and Jesse via email for any concerns, comments, suggestions you may have on the awardees for round 3. Otherwise, have a great weekend. Have a happy Halloween, and we'll see you next year.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
My camera's off. Bye, everybody.
Bye.